Okay, welcome to Pillar Project interviews. I'm David Siegel. Today is Thursday, August 3rd, Kalia's birthday. We are here in Poprad, Slovakia. Can you see us? Yes, you can. Uh, on day 4, I think, of our exciting conference here. We've got one more day to go. And today we welcome a special guest from Rio de Janeiro, Mr. Vitor P or Py. You have to tell us which
P.
it is. P, Vitor
P.
P.
Yeah.
Where's your last name from? Is it Portuguese?
No, it's from French Catalonia, from the border
French
from
Catalonian. Is it
uh,
short from a
from the
longer name,
border.
or
Huh?
is that short for some longer name, or it's
I
just only
I believe with an I it's a P. It's for Pinheiro, for pine.
pine?
Yes, the tree.
Pine tree. Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. And you're born and raised in around Rio?
No, I'm born and raised in a small town in the mountains called Nova Friburgo. It stands for New Freiburg. It's
New Freiburg.
yeah, so
Is that
town
where all the
settled.
Swiss people go to retire?
It was settled by Swiss founders in the early 19th century. I was born there and raised as a kid there, and then moved to Rio for to get up in schooling, and went to school here and college in Rio.
Very cool. I think there are some towns there that are a lot of Swiss people, right? There's a
Oh,
few
there's
towns.
still a lot. Fribourg ended up being settled by a lot of people from different places. It has seen German people. It
Mhm,
has a small Japanese colony. It's
mhm.
a quaint place. I like it.
Wow, cool. All right. So we've been talking a lot about wallets, and we want to, and you're switching gears from much of the 2030 stuff and supporting our wallet, our Pillar effort, to being a full-time Pillar project employee. And so I thought we would talk first about the wallet, so we have some idea a bit about technology, and then about the office that we're going to set up there.
Okay. Uh,
And we don't really. We've been talking a lot about what should the first wallet do. That would be a good. And it's not that we're clueless and just wondering for the first time. We've been talking about it for a long time. There are many possibilities, and we have a design contest, and you've seen the zero point 0.1 specifications, right? The minimum viable wallet. And we'd like to hear from your point of view. What a wallet should be, and uh, like how should we build one of these things?
okay. See, the long term goal, what we want to do is to build a personal data locker, and the wallet is the first step. And if you think the personal data locker, you can think it as a tie two different things. That's a way to exchange information and the blockchain that allows us to provide monetary incentives and to perform transactions safely on it. That's at least my view of it. And those are the two main APIs or two main pieces we need to create to build a platform where people can build decentralized applications for the personal data locker.
Or
And
or services. I think we don't talk about apps anymore, but
yes, okay. The platform to build stuff on top of it.
ah. And what are the existing protocols that serve as a good guide for that? We don't have to reinvent the wheel, so
Yeah, no, I expect to leverage existing tech for at least the MVP, and maybe in the future we roll in our tech, but expect to have a personal data locker at least a prototype running in a year. And uh, I believe we should move quickly and establish ourselves and show people we are here, this exists. And I want to make this in a year. And for the first, for the minimum viable product, I want to leverage Ethereum and to leverage a P2P network called Cord. It has a lot of academic papers on it, and it already exists, so
cord.
we can build on top of it.
And what existing? I don't want to scare people about the year. First of all,
Okay.
we want to have a constant delivery cadence, right? Continuous delivery, right? So how do you feel about shipping something that works every week? Is that too fast for you?
Not really. Uh, uh, um, I believe we can ship with a certain frequency. I don't know if it's weekly, but we should ship as as soon as possible. Always. I think there's going to be some contention in the beginning because we need some design at
Right,
first. We
right,
need to pick
right,
protocols because we can start building wrong. Should not over design the initial stuff,
right.
but we need some time to think the protocols and review some literature and do some white papers and produce a design. But as soon as possible, start shipping. Um, you talk about the Rio office, what I really want to do in Rio, and the profile the guys I'm searching for is to make a core group of people to design those protocols. Um, and trying to find people with strong academic backgrounds and who have a track record of shipping stuff. So the track record is not everything, but
We
to
know
make a
that.
core group of people to design and implement protocols.
Right. So on the one hand, I want to say, well, give us a break. We've got to get started here. Let's go with a 2 week delivery cadence and get up to speed, and then ramp it, and then throttle it down to 1 week. On the other hand, I think shipping something that works every week is a really good habit to get into. Wait a minute, Jacek. Can you make sure there's no sound coming out of that speaker, please? No, make sure that's on mute, because that'll give all the feedback we need. One sec. Make sure that has no input, no output. Something's wrong over there. Sound. Got no. Ah, maybe now. Hello. Now
Okay,
we
can you hear
better?
me? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Well, see, I had started companies. I've worked for large companies, and something I don't believe having startups running all the time and doing the death march, working over hours every single day because that burns people out and people quit and projects derail. And have a
No.
steady rhythm and being sustainable is critical.
Yeah. Right. So my thinking is deliver a wallet every week, and if that means it has one small feature from last week, that's fine.
Yeah.
But ship every Friday. Or by the way, there's a kind of a uh,
Don't don't ship on Friday. If it breaks, I'm going to work the weekend.
There's a tradition of shipping on Friday, and some groups have figured out that you can ship on Wednesday, and
Yeah.
that is better. And so we need to think about that, right? So that we have our break period, and then we get ready for the next sprint. So I'm really interested in that because whatever we do, I think we should both offices do.
Yep. Yeah, agreed.
And I don't know which day because I've never really seen anything other than Friday. But I also know that if we all read Joy Inc., we see that they manage to ship every Friday because they build that into their system. And by Friday at 3:00, it's generally done, and they're kind of wrapping up their retrospective, and they're out of there by 4 or 5 o'clock on Fridays. That's pretty disciplined, but it is part of their culture and it works. But we should talk about which day of the week at some point.
Yeah, and some experimentation we can try on Fridays. If it doesn't work, we move it around.
Yeah, if you've run over and you need extra hours, then you've messed up, right? And so,
Yeah, agreed.
so what do you need to fix so that doesn't happen again? So Thursday is a suggestion because on your afternoon on Friday is our UK happy hour, or now it's almost after dinner. So that's something to consider. Michael says, yeah, no, we just talked about it. I mean, Joy Inc., they do it every Friday and it works. And if you have problems and you have to stay later, then you have to fix it for the next cycle. And that's true no matter what day of the week it is. So the goal is to ship consistently and plan for that as your week goes. Here's
Yeah.
Charles. Well, the goal, and one reason to ship on Fridays is that the goal is you're shipping something you can test. That's the definition of a sprint, right? Ship something someone can hold and test and try. And that gives weekends for people to play around with things, which is nice because we happen to have about 12,000 people who are really eager to play around with things. And between Friday afternoon and Monday morning, you're going to get a lot of feedback, which is good because that's a nice little 7-day cycle. So it's all to be discussed. So let's talk about the split between Rio and London, because it's clear that in London and possibly elsewhere, we're going to have user experience and experience design and interface design, right? They're not going to be in Rio.
Yes, I agree.
Unless there's by some miracle, a group in Rio appears, but probably not. So, and they're more likely to be in London so they can work side by side with us. And that will include a front-end developer, I guess.
Well, yes. If you think for a decentralized peer-to-peer application, everything is the front end because there are no servers anywhere to back that.
Oh well, but we can have servers. Well,
yeah. We have servers, but the core is on the front end. The core are the applications.
Right. So the wallet is a product, and it's a download. You get it at the App Store or wherever. And
yeah, what we really want to do in the real office is to have the people who are going to design the PDL protocols and the software, the libraries that the front end use to create the user facing application. That's my view of how to do it. And it allows me to be away and to have separate stuff to work in London, so we don't create many collaboration problems at the beginning. But
so how do we separate iterative design from iterative product development physically?
Well, see, we have some set of primitives of which the product is going to build upon. That's the transaction systems for the PDL. That's the information exchange, information retrieval, information discovery, and all those are a set of primitives that the front-facing product is built upon. And I believe what the real, and based on my paper, on the primitive paper I had and the presentation I was working on, is to build in Rio and to collaborate to the London office to build the user-facing application.
So let me ask, is there going to be a kind of a protocol handoff document that says this is what our services look like, this is what you need to tie into, right?
Yes.
And some interface like that. And that will be something that we're all going to have to keep an eye on, and it'll have versions. And as we go to version 3.1.6, then that corresponds to the user interface 3.1.6.
Yes.
Something like that, right?
Yes.
And the user interface people will generally be ahead, and that's good, right? They'll be weeks ahead with their design of new features, and then that will trickle down for you to get and then execute on the back end.
Yes.
And that's not only possible, but it's preferable because we want to take those user features and go test them without the back end first, right? So we could have this code base that is just fake code that kind of does a few things that mock-up or prototyping code that lets people pretend to do what they think they're doing, but that's not really actually doing it. And then we could keep reusing that code to continue to develop the interface on. And that seems like a possible way to go, because we want to develop the user interface as much in JavaScript or whatever the iOS, Android stuff is as possible, and not have user interfaces static in Photoshop that much. We're trying to be coding up interfaces all the time, right? So we'll need this document, and the document will march through time, and both sides will keep up with it.
Yes.
That sounds okay. What do you think about, so how many people do you think it'll be? 4 people?
Yeah, two pairs of people. That's what I'm looking for. I have a guy already coming.
Be cross pairing, right? Everybody will be pairing.
Yes.
Or do you think people will settle into 2 pairs that will mostly work together?
Well, I don't know. I expect. I don't really have the people, and I need 2 more people to look for. And we'll start in the beginning and see how things works. I think everyone pairing is the ideal solution, not keep on people established pairs. But maybe in the beginning, if there's someone who's more inexperienced, pair them for a while with someone more experienced. And let's see how the team works. And,
okay. That sounds great. Any questions for Vitor from the audience? I can't read or see that. Someone just tell me what it says. That's easier. Here are the questions.
Okay.
What goals do you have in terms of how you will work with the team as well as the broader community? One question I have for you is, how will you make sure, that's a lot, we have a lot of questions for you coming in from the audience here. It's like a whole game show. This one for 3 points. How will you also kind of reach out to the Rio community? And because both Pillar and 2030 are community-based, make sure that people are also involved at lower levels, and possibly having volunteers, having people involved in different aspects, and with the school, and possibly our goal, just so everybody knows, our goal is that we have a 2030 blockchain innovation center in Rio. That's separate from the Pillar project. The Pillar project will not pay for it. I want to make sure everyone knows that. But our goal is to get sponsorship so that more activities can happen in Rio than just Pillar.
I know some people from the community incubators from real startups, mostly university connected, and this is the first people start reaching out. I know there's a payment processor based in Rio that has some big blockchain innovation works, so reach out to them and start reaching out for people that I know. Um, let's set up the company first, have the people first, and yeah, and go reach out for those people.
So one thing we could do is have a pillar event in Rio,
Okay,
right
that's
about right about Christmas time or New Year's, because that's when I'd like to go,
nice.
and really make it something interesting and fun, all about pillar. Oh, you're coming too? Right. Okay. Okay, look out, watch out. We may have an avalanche of people coming to Rio for for New Year's Eve. It's a little fun there on New Year's Eve, I understand, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big event.
They know how to have fun there. So we might have to keep this tradition up of having an unconference in Rio. I'm just making it up between Christmas and New Year's in case anybody can swing it. So just an idea that one of my dumb ideas that turns into one of these. So watch out. So here's somebody asked, will the deliverables be available open source all the time on GitHub, or will it more like we'll get to a release? Because there's going to be a lot of crappy code that we're going to just keep redoing. Will we more get to a more of a intermediary release, and then that will be open source, or will it all just be open source? You just follow all the changes along.
I'm comfortable with the roll old seeing my crappy code.
Crappy code it is. Watch out.
Yeah.
Use it at your own risk. But obviously there will be releases that everybody can tell us.
Yeah, there'll be tags and specific points. That's what's but let's make it open source. That's the spirit, I think.
What?
Make it open source. I think that's part of the spirit to make this.
Yeah. What are the other two? Do you have other two roles in mind, or are they general purpose developers?
There'll be developers. There's one guy that's coming. That's a part that used to be a part of my startup, and the guy with a strong academic background and one of the smartest guys I know. And I really hope for him to pair a lot with me to design the protocols and primitives. And other two guys, I don't know. I'm seeking for people, and there will be general developers. But if I find some specific profiles, I'll look for them. I'm really looking for them to care.
What do you think about getting people to volunteer, since everybody else in the whole thing volunteers first?
That's a good idea, I think.
Can you try that?
Yeah, we can try. We should be open to experimentation, right?
We all volunteer, so even if someone volunteers for a week, the goal is, and this is kind of the Joy Inc. way, you have to get accepted by the community.
Yes, sure.
Right? So we want to see it. We don't want to interview anybody, and in particular, and the reason we do this is we don't care about anybody's resume or what they did or didn't do. If they just had some difficult times or failed, or someone told them no about 1,000 times, we want those people.
Yeah, sure.
Right? I keep saying the people that Google interviews and they don't have the interview skills, those are the people we want.
Sure.
The people that Google turns down because they don't have the interview skills. That's
don't worry. Google turned me down a few times.
Who?
Google turned me down a few times. Don't worry.
You mean the particular guy you're talking to about? You mean? Or?
No, Google interviewed me a time and turned me down. Yeah.
Google turned you down a few times.
Yeah.
You see, this is quality. This is how you hire, right? You find people who want to show what they can do, and they are world-class people, and they don't have the killer interview and resume skills and all that crap that is just signaling and not reality. So awesome. I never knew that. That's really great. I'm very glad to hear that. That just validates our whole thing. So we encourage you to sign people up and hire them for no money. Just say you're
Yep.
hired. Great, your salary is zero, and you can start on Monday. And we hired 3 or 4 people that way the other day, and then there's a kind of an unspecified period in which people get up to
Sure.
speed. Then we all discuss it, and if the consensus is yes, we can bring them the next step in, and it might be half time, it might be full time, but then we kind of work people in, and as necessary over time. You can't get it perfect, and people sometimes have their things change, so they will then work their way out gradually, and they'll still remain part of our community. I mean, we eventually will have kind of an alumni club of
Oh, there's a lot of people already, I think.
yeah.
Uh,
So
I don't
lots of
know how.
energy. Use that energy to try several people so that see how they play together, see how it works
Sure,
together.
I like the idea. Sure.
Good, great. How will you ensure that we have continuity from all the platforms, iOS, Android, and possibly other apps and possibly the web? What
Well,
is the best cross-platform development approach and tools?
that's really an open question at this moment because we didn't start to build stuff.
Oh, what you're
But
thinking about? What do you think about it?
at this moment, and on my first idea for a PDL MVP, and I'm not sure that's the right way for the wallet. But my first idea for a PDL MVP, if I have the transaction system in place and the information retrieval API in place, is to just have people write services or apps or whatever you want to call them in HTML and JavaScript. And if you want to do that, there's a plenty of easy way to run HTML and JavaScript on the browser, and that's using Apache Cordova or PhoneGap or whatever they're calling it this week. And I'm not sure that's the right way for the wallet, but I think that's the way I'd like to go for the first release of the PTL, because at least I see the wallet more as a way to build the transaction system instead
When
of
you
being.
think about kind of testing these versions of the wallet over the next several months, do you think we should just stick with iOS for testing, and then when we like it, then we can just recreate it for Android, or what about that? There's no reason to do a whole lot of development for both platforms at
Yeah,
all.
I
We're just kind
agree.
of doing a generic interface for testing, right? We wouldn't even add the bells and whistles on it. We would just do a generic phone.
I agree. I'm definitely not. I'm definitely open for suggestions for front end stuff because I'm not a front end guy and I did very little front end code in my life. But
It may not
yeah,
affect you that much. It might be that there's this interface and we have to handle that on our
yeah.
end, and you never know about it.
But it sounds reasonable to start with iOS.
But then you have to run through the iOS procedure for creating an app and getting it into. They have a whole beta program. I forget what
Yeah,
these apps are called.
I'm aware of how to code for. I've used Xcode and I'm aware how
Yeah.
Objective C works. It's cool.
So
Um,
that's just part of our release cadence, and we'll just have to build a machine to get that through like that. So when will there be a demo? And my feeling is it'll just be this continuous process, and at some point after we test some things with a bunch of internal testers, we'll have a little mini release that people can like beta
yeah,
mess around
if
with.
if you think it's about the two core APIs, as the transaction systems that the wallet can do, and information exchange and retrieval system, that's for PDL. I really like that would be running in a year, but and having it's working now, you can try and go in a year, but obviously I expect it to to have some results earlier than that.
Yeah,
And
sure.
being open source, the demos out of the time, you just go and download it and test it. But so I
So
don't
here's
know it.
this is my challenge
Okay.
or my concept that we'll meet at the end of September. We'll spend some time in October on architecture and doing little experiments, and then we'll start building wallets. I hope sometime toward the end of October. So we'll
Okay.
start building. We'll start. Let's just say we start building on October 20th or whatever or something, and then every week we're going to ship a wallet. And
Okay.
10 weeks later, so we'll be at 0.0. 10 weeks later, we'll be at 1.0. And that's something I hope that people will be able to test, put in their hands and move some coins
Mhm.
in, move some coins out, try the user experience, and so forth.
Sure.
So I sort of think that the 10-week clock will start ticking sometime in October, and 10 weeks later, and it might be 8, it might be 12. I'm not, watch out, you guys don't take any of this too literally. But every so often we'll kind of have a big release. That'll be like a dot release, and then we'll let people test it and play with it, and that'll be beta. And my other feeling is that it might be 3 of those before we have something we really want to send out to beyond our initial group of our community of about 12,000 people. It might be 30 weeks before we have something that we're really ready to send out to people. And
Sure.
but it could be 12 weeks, it could be 28 weeks. We don't know. So, but we're going to try to ship a wallet every week, starting sometime in October, probably toward the end of October. So that's we're going to be gearing up to do that.
Yeah, and being open source is it's there all the time, right? We can just go and run it.
Yeah, and we'll try to build an open source community around here so people can start grabbing things and doing them too. There's no reason it has to be just us at all.
It
So
shouldn't be.
right, right. We should have people co-developing all the time with sponsors or with just open source people who think this is awesome. So given this is decentralized work and we're a slightly decentralized company, will the office be unorganized, be disorganized? Do you like an organic kind of messy office, or do you like everything to be well organized in the office?
Well, as a software developer, as long as it's quiet environment, I'm cool with that. Uh, I work even from a cubicle or from an open office plan, and I'm fine as long as we can have a quiet and comfortable environment. And I'm cool with that.
What should we do about system administration? The way we're doing it now is just a whole bunch of people are just doing it on kind of a random basis. Different people do parts of it, but I don't really mind that. It seems like we have a reasonable amount of capability, and whether it's Partha or Ralph or you or Jacek or even Michael.
I think it's working for now. I think we need just to have some automation in place for some stuff. Like we need to know health checks. We need to know which servers have been patched, which haven't. And there's some infrastructure work we need to do. But I think with that we can do on the side, me and Porta and Half or whoever wants to help. But as long as we put some automation work to make sure things are running and to notify us when they aren't running, that's good.
Yeah, we can automate a lot of that.
Yeah.
For sure. So the last thing we need is some kind of a person called a system administrator. We will not have that.
Oh,
We'll just
at the moment, I don't think that's needed. I think
no.
we go to a lot of servers, then at some point you're going to have operations people. But right now, we don't need that.
No, I hope we never need that, because that's kind of a silo, and I hope that we'll all just have multi-talented people who can do what needs to be done. And also in Rio, I mean, if you can hire good generalists and they play well together, that's a lot better than specialists who are off doing their specialist thing.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. All right. We've wrapped up those questions. Anything else for Vitor? We're gonna need some. We're gonna need some discussion and planning around Rio de Janeiro for the week before Christmas.
Yes,
'Cause I could get excited about that.
so I had the question, but I think
Max has a question.
yes, I think we covered most of it during your discussion. But there
Yeah.
is one point I would like to raise. This is we are looking for partners in general, and a few of those who need to be integrated.
Are you talking into something?
Yes, in this thing.
Don't do that. It's much better without that. What? Oh, Lon. Oh, it's really echoing. Okay, go ahead. Say we're looking for partners.
So did you hear my question, Victor?
No, sorry.
Okay, let me.
Come use my mic or something. That doesn't work. Something about partners. Turn that off, please.
The question I have is that yes, hi Vito.
Hi.
He knows me.
Yeah.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
So just mentioning that we have to look out for the partners. Some might need some kind of backend integration or API something, and we don't need to miss those in our schedules. And
But we want to have consultants.
yes, that's part of things that could be worked out. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Far and wide. Killer consultant.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Great.
Yeah, let's see how thing goes and which partners turn up to. I think if there's someone who can bring us a lot of visibility, needs us to change our schedule for them. Well, if what's it, let's go. Let's
We
see
would
how.
like. I mean, I don't expect partners on the core technology,
know.
right? But I would love for us all to think about how we can get partners involved in providing services. And you publish some paper on how to tie in and give some examples, right? And we evangelize that and get people working on it.
Yeah,
And we hope to also have a venture fund that will help hire people to work on those things.
yeah. I think that maybe a separate venture project should be created on the service.
Yeah, it's a separate group, but
It's a separate group.
yeah, but we'll need some documents that specify. So if someone wants to add a weather service, we wouldn't have a weather app. We would have a weather service. How would that come in to the wallet, right? Someone wants to add some kind of transportation, or just like paying your Uber with your Pillar wallet and Pillars. How would that work? So we're going to have whatever you call it document.
Yeah.
Shopping cart. Maybe that's not, well, something. So we're going to have documents that help people, developers, tie in to the core system. Yeah. And we're going to evangelize those and get the word out to lots of developers to help them also see the economic benefit of doing that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Very good. It's great and we want to be more connected. So, at the, and this is something I've seen startups do, we have a wall where we can see everything on your camera and you can see what's going on in our office.
I'll talk to you about that. Maybe just a big TV and a GoPro.
Yeah. Ralph, we're going to have TVs in both offices and GoPros and live stream the office. And microphones too. Gotta have.
And
I'm not sure we need microphones. And hear each other.
I'm going to have Half running around all the time fixing it.
And then you're gonna have Ralph saying, "Help! Show me how to do this," or "I'm gonna show you how to do that."
But
Okay, very cool. At some point, I hope we'll even have video walls that show the Kanban system. Yeah, it's much nicer to just fly there. Yeah, you're right. Who wants to be in London? Right. Yeah, you're gonna have to get some nice house with a lot of extra rooms, so we can have people coming and going. And that's the other thing. We want your people to come to our place, right? So ideally, if you have 4 people, pretty much someone from your team is pairing with us and our front end team in London, and maybe one of our front end people is, you know, or somebody's coming down to work with you in your office for a week or 2 at a time. We want lots of that.
I'm going to look to a bigger officer space then.
Yeah, and so keep an eye for a nice little 3-bedroom house that we can all just come and invade. Of course,
if you're not allergic,
sponsor.
If you're not allergic to dogs, you can stay my couch.
Oh, look out. Okay, we might take over. Okay. Okay. Okay, any other questions for the famous Vitor Py? Yeah. About security.
Okay.
Okay, security. Right. Who is ensuring security? Let me first. I'm going to ask you 2 questions, Vitor. One is about how we ensure security from top to bottom, and the other is about how we're going to do multi-sig, and that's a conversation. So which do you want to do first?
Well, that's, I don't know. That's part of the transaction system is to tie up the wallet and to design those protocols. We need to work on that, and we don't have the transaction protocol on.
Well, does it make sense to have one person who's Mr. Security or Ms. Security, or does it make sense to really just have a security document that we say this is all of our security philosophy, and just make sure we have procedures in place to make sure?
There are 2 points there. There's from service security, and there's to be some guidelines with that, and one security from the crypto point of view of tying information security and tying encryption for the storage. And one thing I really want to go is distributed storage for the wallet, because I don't want the wallet to keep all the data in itself. I want this to have a distributed storage protocol. And this is the great point of concern in terms of security, is to make this data is encrypted and accessible, and integrity of this data. And we haven't started protocol design yet, so there's a clear defined way to answer this question. But there are 2 points, and that's the whole point, is to make this cryptographically secure, and maybe do some formal verification of those protocols later.
So yeah, so I think there's an overall security document, and it has all these checkpoints, and we're all just making sure. We're all just checking.
That's the point. There are guidelines for people build services, and for us, I expect to do some formal verification of our protocols and algorithms to make sure our crypto works the way you think it does. But we still need to design the protocols and work on that.
So it occurs to me that we should move up our schedule a little bit, because I don't think we're just going to be in some rented room for a few days in London. So maybe we should try to do that in the middle of September and not the end. So see what you can do, because we shouldn't have too much lag now. Now we should get serious about architecture and get it rolling. So we shouldn't feel too comfortable about it. We should be preparing for a meeting and making some decisions and putting some stuff down, and then get rolling on it.
Okay, I'll take that small presentation I had to you that I was working on, and I was building on it with the full information I have, and maybe I can show it up in September and have people to collaborate on that and say where I'm wrong and tell me where I'm right, and
Well,
we build stuff.
let me propose that we have 2 days together on architecture, somewhere in the range of the 10th to the 15th. That's a week of September. Now it's moving it up, but I think we can be ready for that. Where there's no reason we should be delaying the onset of coding.
Okay.
So I'm going to propose the 10th to the 15th week, and we'll all start working on that and see if we can make it work. I don't see why we couldn't. See about your passport and your schedule.
Yeah, my passport now is waiting. Brazil had the federal police stopped printing passport, and I didn't get mine. And now I'm just waiting for them to send me an email, say, hey, you can come and get it. But I don't really know when that's going to happen, because I'm waiting for them.
Well, it's not even, I mean, here's the question. How soon could we do it? Could we do it at the end of August? It's still only August 3rd. So could we do it in 3 weeks? Is that?
I'm scared to commit before I have my passport in hand, because I don't know, it might take some time. But when I have a passport in hand, we can commit to a date.
Let's think. I'm willing to do it at the last week of August. I don't think we should sit around waiting. I think we should be in the same room. That's what I think. We should be in the same room. We should be prepared to talk architecture and requirements, but we should be in the same room as soon as possible.
Yes.
No, we're going to London. So we're going to shoot for London a lot sooner than the end of September. That's for sure. Let's see how that goes. Now, about multi-sig. This is a conversation I want to have in general about multi-sig. So if you're interested, this is for you. And if not, and by the way, there's no reason anybody has to stick around. I do want to have a multi-sig conversation. So if you want to go outside and talk or anything, that's all fine. But let's talk about multi-sig for a second. Okay. All right. We could come up with our own multi-sig solution. Some kind of two of three thing. We could dream it up. It could be fantastic. We could like it a lot. Where's the sound coming from now?
There's an ambulance going over here.
My concern is that if we go to start working with third parties, and an example would be Coinbase, or where's all this sound coming from? What? Oh, your chair. Oh, it's your chair, Vitor. Okay. If we go with Shapeshift, for example, which, we would like to have people if we want to have our own order book and we want to be able to buy and sell cryptocurrencies and deal with multiple exchanges in the same way that Omega One is. Are you looking at Omega One?
No.
Must look at Omega One. Big deal. If we could just hook up into Omega One, we would be done. They're doing what we need to do. And the question is, how will multi-sig work? Because if we have our own multi-sig situation, and I know Licka's multi-sig situation, I know those are not going to be compatible. What does that mean? That means that each person would have to have an account with Licka to be able to see Licka's order book. And that isn't going to work. And so we need to know how these exchanges APIs work and what KYC they need and how their multi-sig situations are designed, how their multi-sigs are designed. Because if it turns out that 10 different exchanges have 10 different multi-sig protocols, that's going to be hard for us, and it's going to be hard for Omega One. Right? So we need to learn about this right away. In fact, anybody who's nodding and is interested, we need research on this. Yes, we have research. We have research coming, and because we need to know what this API landscape looks like.
Yeah, and as far as for Lick, what I hear like their Bitcoin protocol, it's really well done.
But it's not going to work for us.
Yeah, but I don't know their Ethereum solution. I don't know.
We need more information. We need more information before we can make a decision. And we are going to get some help. Good. Cool. All right. So we're going to get, it's Stefan. Ralph. That's right. Ralph number 2 is going to look at, and you're living, oh yeah, right, Ralph. That's right. That's right. That's right. Right. So
The Swiss
Ralph is
House.
going to, Ralph is a different Ralph is going to look into do some research on this.
That,
Yaro also would probably be interested. And who's the guy from?
that's a Zurich, Ralph, right?
It's the Zurich Ralph. Who's the guy, the math guy yesterday from Goldman Sachs? Yeah, what's your name? Daniel. Right, right. You might be interested in this too, in understanding the API landscape for us, so we know what to tie into. So because all the APIs that are important to us, and there are exchanges, there might be transportation. How could you use your Pillar wallet to just get on a bus? There might be some APIs for that. Some kind of common use cases that have APIs. It could be transmitting money to somebody else somewhere so that they can interface with their bank account or so. And I'll tell you a big one, by the way. Why don't we look into, and Tomer, are you here? Tomer? No? Okay. Why, and Robert, well, some other people might be able to help with this. Why don't we look into tying in with a credit card provider?
Sure.
So they have the banking license. They furnish credit card services to merchants and they have set up merchant accounts. And if we have a relationship with one of these and cannot tie our account in, it's possible that we can give everybody a Visa interface to their Pillar wallet. We're not money changers, they are. They have the license. And we can say, just use Visa or MasterCard and put your money into your Pillar wallet. We don't do it, right? But we work with a gateway that allows it. And so we can work with them and their protocols and give them our protocols and patch that together so that they send their money to, this bank in somewhere, and that gets immediately put into their Pillar wallet.
Sounds good.
So these kinds of early use case protocols we need to know before we go designing things on our own, right? So I will kind of say that we need a self-organized protocol committee and start working in, we're already, Vitor, working in the new community Rocket Chat. So you want to meet these people who are doing that, go there, start yourself a new channel, and everybody can start. And that's going to hold stuff forever. It's not Slack. So we'll really be able to work there and mine it and go back in time, and you can then make sub channels, whatever you like. But that work should start right away so that when we all come together, we understand our early use cases and what the API landscape looks like, and then how we can abstract our own internal services and then make those connections.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's something we could start with simple use cases like exchanges, Visa, probably some other things, okay? This is, I think, the way that this wallet gets going because, putting a user interface is not trivial, but if we have the engine, that does simple things well, and we know how to manage security, we're going to be able to get ahead of you on the user interface. So the multi-sig, the multi-sig is critical, and we're going to have to think how people can get set up with a multi-sig and not enough rope to hang themselves with. So they have a safety person, buddy, service. And one thing we've thought about, just so you know, is that one way to get the wallet out is you have to set up a buddy system, and you can give it to 2 people, but they're 2 people you trust, and they have, let's say, half of your other private key or something, so that it's 2 people you trust, and everybody gives it to 2 people he trusts. Then we have a bit of a web of trust. And if you need help getting your stuff back, you've got 2 people you can call besides your own third key that you could back up onto a USB stick and whatever. So this is the kind of stuff we have to think about. And I'm pretty concerned that other systems will have their own multi-sig systems, and the only way to interface with those would be to get an account. And we really have to look at those APIs and how they do what they do.
Yeah,
That
we need to think and look how stuff's
typical Vitor response. Yeah, we'll get it done. No problem, we'll get it done. It's okay. Don't worry. Yeah, Max has a question. The design contest, yes. What? People will submit design proposals without any clue about APIs. No, they'll have no idea about it. That's fine. That's okay. We're kind of just looking for the visual experience. And we're more looking for talent and ambition and commitment than we are specific designs. I mean, designers who can come up with some clever things can come up with many more clever things. So we're not sticking ourselves on the entries as much as the entrants, the people, and their energy and commitment to the project. Anything else for the handsome and debonair Vitor Py in Rio de Janeiro on a beautiful Thursday morning for him? He probably has other things to do. Anything, anybody? Vitor Py, thank you so much. Really great to have you on board.
Thank you all.
Thank you. We'll see you in the Slack soon.
So, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.